Ben, how's fall camp going so far?
It's going great. I know at first it was a lot, trying to transition from just being able to, summer workouts to having a full itinerary of every second of your day. But I feel like the longer fall camp goes on, the more you're getting used to it, and the more we're just adjusting, and it's getting good. It's getting pretty good right now.
What about for you personally? How's the like full time starting center role going for you? Like, is it something that you needed to adapt to, or is it just you're hitting the ground and running there?
Absolutely. I think anyone that transitions from guard to center is definitely a pretty big transition as far as the mental aspect of, they say the center is the quarterback of the O-line. Now, luckily, I was able to be the backup center last year.
Yeah.
So I did know a little bit, but, now it's just like a whole another chapter being, the one, and just you need to know everything.
Yeah.
Being the backup, you can ask the starter some questions or your coach, but when you're the one, they expect you to be able to answer that. So that's probably the biggest transition, but, I love it. So I love a challenge. So
you played a lot at guard last year. Does it help you to have been there and kind of hear what that communication looks like from the center and kind of like be in those game moments as you take over that job now?
Absolutely. I mean, when my time at UTSA, I've pretty much played everywhere. I was a tackle my freshman year. I moved to guard, and now I'm center. And I think what really helps is being able to play each position. Now it's kind of like, it's all. I feel like Thanos. You have all the gems, and now it's like, wow. You can connect the pieces to the puzzle. It really helped me playing backup center when I was a guard, because if you don't know who you're going to, you know who he has, and you know who he has. So, I must have this guy. And now being the center, it's like, well, now I know when I was a guard, I wished my center would have done this or that. And now I'm the center, so I can help the guards out, help, whoever. And it's kind of just being able to make it as the best communication throughout the whole line as smooth as possible. So that's kind of what my goal is.
You mentioned like the mental and the vocal side. Are there physical components of the center role that are different compared to playing guard?
Absolutely. I mean, besides just snapping the ball, but the center definitely has the least advantage when it comes to blocking anything. I mean, instead of being able to put your force on a hand and have no pressure, you just know you're going to go in the ball snaps. You're the center. Not only do you have to know the cadence, you have to be able to really get into a stance without putting too much pressure on your hand, and also just some of the blocks. You're snapping a ball, and in that time the man's coming at you, so you don't really have that opportunity to punch as fast as you would as a guard and stuff like that. There's just a lot of little things.
It's funny, like the snapping part probably gets taken for granted. Was that easy for you, or has that been something you had to rep a lot? Like how do you adjust to that?
At the beginning, it was definitely rough because, again, being a guard, I didn't really have that problem. Just snap consistency is the thing that I'm working on, because now it's like, well, this is my full-time job right now. So at first it was rough, but I think, again, with more reps comes more awareness, and just it becomes like second nature. So that's what I've been really trying to work on for me. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge for sure.
How do you look back at last season from the team view of it? Like how what can you take away from what you went through last year?
There was definitely some highs and some lows. I think we started out the year with some lows, of course. I feel we had a lot of holes to fill or shoes to fill, and we were just trying to get that chemistry as a team. I think we really clicked towards the last half of the year, and when I played guard, I feel like at first it was there was a game or two. I think Tulsa was kind of like this, and then after that something clicked, and from there kind of like we were like, okay, we got this. And I hope that we have what we did on that last half of last year, and we have that from the beginning of this year, that same, just being fluent, having the chemistry, and knowing who you're playing with. So,
yeah, how does it help when you have guys around you who have so much experience as you kind of step into that center role? Are you able to lean on them in certain moments?
From time to time, I know when I was a guard, it was really big leaning on those guys. Kamar Missouri, being a guard, he helped me a lot, just with there were some times I didn't know what to do or who we were going to, and being able to ask him, he really helped me a lot. as the center, again, you just need to know everything. And honestly, there's a lot of times where people ask me, what we're doing, and if I ever need help, I honestly just go to my coaching or my coaches. But I'm definitely just putting a lot of faith in myself, I will say, this year, because when you're the center, you are the quarterback for the O-line. So, but yeah.
Not everybody can play tackle and guard and center and kind of have success. Is there something about you or your skill set that allows you to make that transition and have it work?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. Again, I feel like that's just one of my strengths is being able to have like that. What is the word? Being able. God, there's a word I'm brain farting.
Like the versatility.
Versatility, yes, sir. Just I feel like that's just something that not everyone has, and that's one of my strengths. Some people are super strong, some are, super smart, and I feel like for me it's the versatility. Just being able to, I can do a lot of things with both hands. Not writing, but like. Shooting a basketball, shooting a gun, doing anything I can do with both hands. And I feel like when it comes to football, I have no fear of being able to be left guard, be right tackle, be center. And I think it's just natural to me, just being able to adapt to whatever challenge it is. And I think that's just something that helps me in this game. So.
What about the physical side of it? Is there any physical difference between guard and center? Are you bigger this year? Or are you
I am a lot bigger. I know last year I think I was around like 290, 295 when I was playing. Now I'm about 315. So, I thought one of my struggles last year was my size. I was more of a shifty guard. I like going against faster guys as a tackle, but when you're guard, you're going against the big ones. You're going against the 330, plus, whatever it is. And I felt like my run blocking wasn't as good as I wanted it to be because of my weight and strength. So this past season, I worked on my weight, my strength, so that hopefully it could help me in the sense of what I thought was the problem was my run blocking. So.
Do you want to play there where you're at now, or you want to still make some modifications with your weight?
Of course, just being able to lower my body fat percentage and just keep getting stronger. There's a difference of adding on good weight and bad weight, and I'm kind of trying to, I'm trying to gain the right weight, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing this past season.
You talked about going up against some of the big guys in the middle. What about UTSA's big guys? You've been seeing them for a few weeks now. There's a few new guys. What do you think about what you've seen out of that group?
They're pretty good. I will say they give great looks. They're a whole lot of potential. I will say that. I know they're all new, so they're kind of trying to get their whole chemistry and their flow down. But when it connects, like there's a lot of times where they give very good looks on defense and they do some damage. But I'm just glad that they're my teammates. So on game day, I don't got to play them. So good luck to the people. They're going against them. So, but
What does it mean to you at this stage of your career to be potentially headed towards a starting role and to have that kind of responsibility on your shoulders?
It's definitely a lot. I know last year it definitely gives me motivation because, last year I didn't know if I was ready. And when they threw me in the fire, I did what I thought was, my best. And I know there's still a lot of improvement, but it definitely helped me, believe in myself. And I know with just trusting in my coaching and my technique, it's giving me motivation that I can do this. And now that the new challenge is being a center, but I definitely think that if I could do that, I can definitely do what I play anywhere, play center, play guard, wherever. And this year they need a center, so that's kind of my goal, is just to have that same mentality.
Has it been meaningful to you to be able to represent the city in that way? I don't know how many of the guys from the local area have that kind of responsibility on this year's team, but it seems like something that you're able to take on.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm born and raised here in San Antonio. It means the world to me to be able to represent not only my family but also the city. I believe that the best talent in San Antonio should stay in San Antonio, and that's honestly why I committed here. And to be able to play and represent, have people that I grew up with come watch a game, people that, that made an impact in my life, be able to say, hey, I know one of the players there. It really does mean the world to me. So that's what, it's honestly a motivation for me. So
there's always been, as long as in recent years, whether it's like Frank and Rashad or Sincere or even more recently like Oscar Cardenas, there's always been that kind of a guy. It seems like, I don't know, this is the first time I'm thinking about it, but it's like almost kind of your mantle now. Is it, I don't know, is it meaningful to you to be that the one who's representing in that way?
I mean, it's an honor even to be considered in that question. Honestly, I feel like they are on such a higher level. You know, those are legends. Those, you know, Frank, Oscar, you know, Sincere, Spencer Buford. There's so many, you know, BMAT. I remember, but there's just so many legends and great players that I remember my freshman year, even when I was getting recruited, that I was able to witness. And you know, to be able to even be considered in that picture, that's an honor. I feel like I have a lot of work to do to be able to even be anywhere in that question, but I hope to someday, you know, before my time's over, to just do my part and you know, do my part on the field, but also do my part for the city. So
It's just interesting, like I'd have to try to map it out, but I wonder how many like consecutive games there's been somebody from the local area in the starting lineup or something like that. And
absolutely.
Like, to be able to be the guy who's doing that now, for what it means for the people in the community too. I don't know, like coming up as well, do you think it's important to be able to look up and see somebody from this area who's in that kind of a spot?
Absolutely. I know when I was a kid, I mean, I looked up to, you know, the college athletes and the ones from San Antonio, and I know when I was getting recruited, I remember I was, you know, a big Spencer Buford fan as an offensive lineman. You know, I was a tackle at the time, but just watching him work in his craft, and he represented San Antonio, and he was very proud of it himself. So that was definitely like a wow, I could be that. And it's kind of shocking that, wow, I am kind of living or following in the footsteps of hopefully being able to just, you know, be a role model for some younger kids that want to play for UTSA one day. So absolutely.
Cool. Awesome, Ben.
Thank you,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes.